you?
Good.
Good
Very
afternoon.
good. Good afternoon.
So we are here with 3 representatives from the Martha Mary Club. I like this name. For the past 7 years, we have been having this ministry. We invite the seniors for lunch and fellowship. So now I am going to ask the 3 people here to speak about themselves. We'll start with Pat.
I'm Pat Rivers, and I live in Essex. I've been in the area for probably almost 50 years now and been part of the church. Part of the time I lived in Chester for a while, so I was part of St. Joseph's Church, and it was convenient when we yoked because I knew a lot of the people still from those years, and then ended back in Essex and have been here through several pastors who we've had. And I was originally a nurse, and then I became a mental health counselor and worked for Youth and Family Services in Old Saybrook for 20 plus years. And in between, I was away, and then when I came back, I started a little shop in Essex called the Red Balloon, which is a children's store. And I did that for several years and then sold it and went back to counseling and got another degree so that I could be a counselor, and retired from counseling, and have been doing volunteer work and working with my grandchildren mostly since then. So I love the area. Obviously, I've been here a long time, and I left and came back. In fact, when Father Ray Intervene became the pastor at St. Joseph's, I had just left Middletown where he was the pastor, and came back and found him at St. Joseph's again. So he was an old friend by then. So
Good man.
yeah. So that's about the shortened version.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
How about Sue?
Hi, I'm Sue Pyer, and I live in Iverton. I've been a member of Our Lady of Sorrows Parish for 35 years. My daughter was 7 when we moved here, and she made her first communion or confirmation, and she was married in this church. I was a member of Parish Council and an unofficial member of the building committee. Some of the painting, yes, yep. The wallpapering around the statues and the crucifix and the sacristy. Joyce Leach and I did that together. Let's see. I was a paraprofessional at Essex Elementary School for 28 years. Working with kids who were at-risk readers and just having trouble in school to try to get them boosted up. Let's see. I guess that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. Before that, my husband and I, we lived in New Milford, Connecticut, and before that, he was in the Air Force and we were living in Minot, North Dakota. So I've made full circle. We grew up in Clinton, and now we're back in the area and been here for 35 years.
Wonderful. Ann?
Well, I have been a member here for the past 25 years. We've lived here in Essex. We lived on the other side of the state for 22 years. My career has been that of a psychotherapist. I have worked in a variety of roles with the DCF. I have worked with, my husband and I had a private practice in Ridgefield and in Brookfield for many years. I retired from the Danbury Hospital, and since coming here, I was the coordinator of the Child Guidance Clinic here in Essex. And so I worked with birth to 3. I've worked with all age groups over the years, and am now enjoying retirement.
So great people here, wonderful. So about this ministry, Martha and Mary, I told them just now that since 2006, this idea had been in my mind, and I was trying to start this ministry, but I could not until I came here. That was 2013. I think we began this ministry in 14, right. You know, with a right group of people those who could, begin this ministry. So I would like to ask Pat, she is the first one who coordinated this ministry. Would you please speak about the beginnings of this ministry?
Right. I was on the council at the time, and you were newly arrived, fairly newly arrived, and I think the question went around the table as to if anyone had any ideas about ways that we can serve the church. And I always had in my mind that, for the very reason that it's like preaching to the choir, I would hear in church, where are the young people? And I'd look around and see a lot of gray hair and realize that the older people are there and have been there all along, all through the years, and we should be doing something to appreciate them as a separate event. And I was trying to think of an idea of how could we serve the seniors. And I think I brought that up, and that hit a spark with you, Father, because then you mentioned Martha and Mary, and to be honest, I couldn't remember who Martha and Mary were, and you told us the story, which was very interesting, and it tied right in with having a lunch. And so that was an idea that we took around and everybody thought was a great idea. And Walter Wiegert and Marianne Agostini and John Fries and Betty Johns, Dolores Budney, and I don't think I'm leaving anyone out. We formed a committee and decided how we were going to do that. And I think I was the chair of the committee back then.
Yes.
And what I did was what I always do, is I went and found the experts, the people who had done something like that before. And I knew that Joan Welch, who owns the wheat market in Chester, Joan and Dennis, was involved years ago at St. Joseph's with a luncheon they were doing. So I made an appointment and had a chat with her. And she told me about the lunch they had. It was not specifically for seniors. It was a paper bag lunch that people would come and chat, but she said it failed. And I said, well, I want to do one for seniors. What do you think? I said, what would we serve? How would we serve it? And she gave me so much expert information about the half sandwiches wrapped in half so people could take one home. She knew right on. She was the expert. So I just followed her lead. And that's how we did the food, and she gave us a wonderful price for delivering the food right here to Merthyr Hall, all served, and you worked out the finances. I think some benefactor helped us with that.
Oh, yes.
But it was all doable, and from that point on, and I said, it has to be a lovely lunch. We can't just throw food at them. We want them to feel special. And we also want to have some kind of entertainment or event. But not too much, because what they really want to do is talk to each other.
Yes.
And so we did. We were lucky. We had someone donated the first speaker. I think it was Joyce Leach, very kindly. And from then on, we got people from the Historical Society, from the fire department, from everywhere. We had music. Walt Budney's band came several times. No one ever charged us, which was wonderful. And we had a good time. And in between, Irene Listorti and her husband would play music if it was a holiday, and we'd sing carols, which we weren't doing so much anymore. At Christmas time, we sang because we knew all the words, so we sang all the old carols, and you were there, and it was wonderful. I just loved the group that came, and Reggie came and joined her husband, and we had such a lovely group of volunteers that my greatest pleasure was coming in late and hearing them all in the kitchen, getting everything all set up and ready. And then hearing everybody come in and look for each other. And no matter how we set the tables up, the people who were wanting to be together would move the chairs around and put the tables together, and it was their place. And that's why I think it was successful.
Oh my God, very good, very good, So right now, Sue Pyer is the coordinator now.
Yep.
Can you speak something about your group? And
Well, our volunteer group has kind of dwindled. Right now, we're the committee, what you're looking at here. So we've got to get a few more people to help us set up and clean up. And it pretty much runs itself. It's just, you know, making the phone call to Joan to order how much food and putting the sign-up sheet up and putting tablecloths on the tables, but, you know, it takes a few people to do that. So that's what we're working on. So I'm going to make some phone calls and see if we can rustle up some more people for our committee. So
Anne, I'll ask you this question that during your involvement in this ministry, what are the special things that you remember now?
Well, besides setting up,
events,
but greeting people when they come in, because sometimes what you find is that some of these people don't really know anyone else. So if they don't, that's a good cue to take them and find them a seat and introduce them to people that are around them and get them involved in conversation. Or if I look around and I see people sitting at a table and they just seem to be sitting there, they're really not conversing with each other, then I will walk over and come up with some means of conversation for them to get involved in, and that seems to get them talking to each other. Some of the people come with others, so they know where they're going to sit, but there are a number that come that really don't. There are also some that, you know, I've talked to at church and say, you need to come, we're having a meeting this week. And, you know, they'll ask the particulars of it. So it's important then to tell them what it's about, and that if you'll come, I'll greet you and I'll introduce you to people.
Now, Ed, you must come here, because when I think about Martha Mary Club, immediately what's come to my mind is the photos.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because you did them. Now when I look at them, it's so sad to know how many people we have lost.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I think you should come and join.
Can I add just one thing before you start that? Yes. I don't know, did I mention Anne, who's sitting right across from me, was one of the key members of our committee. And the best thing about Anne as a welcoming person is her smile and the sense of welcome that she presents to people. She was always the greeter and getting people together, and that was also a key factor in making it a success. Never left anybody out. Thank you, Anne. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, here is Ed McCaffrey. You all know him well. Without him, the video chat would not have been possible. With all the arrangements, now we are using 3 cameras here and 4 microphones. And everything is arranged by him. And on behalf of you, I thank you, Ed, for your time and all the efforts that you put in. And with regard to Martha Mary Club, it has been taking a lot of photos and also coming to every monthly event. So I'd like to ask Ed to speak about your experience in Martha Mary.
Okay, thank you, Father. Yeah, well, one of my hobbies, I tend to have lots of hobbies, but one of my hobbies is obviously photography, and over the last few years I've got more involved with video, and I helped Father set up the live streaming over at church. And we hired a company to come in. Well, actually started before that with the audio system. So I worked with Father. We got an audio company to come in and put in a wonderful sound system. It's really one of the best sound systems. That's so important. And then we didn't realize that the pandemic was going to be coming when we put in the live streaming, but we thought, oh, this would be nice. We can record mass, special occasions. So we got the live streaming going, and who would have guessed the pandemic came, and it worked out so well because we had a lot of people watching from home. They didn't have to come to church, and I think it's been probably one of the most important things that we've done is to, with Father's help and guidance, get the live streaming going. We're still doing live streaming. We don't have as many views as we used to before, but that's
Yeah.
because I think a few more people are coming back. But it's worked out very, very well. So thank you, Father, for appreciate your comments.
You're welcome. Now, when I look at the photos, of Martha Mary, it is so sad to see the people, those who are not with us anymore. But it is a very, very good memory, Now, I am going to ask you all this question. We spoke about how we started the ministry and how we are doing it. From the other side, the beneficiaries, those who come to the meetings. Initially, when I was speaking to Pat in 2014, I thought maybe I may get 10 or 15 people. But the very first meeting, we had 40.
Wow,
40 people.
that's great.
So it was a little overwhelming financially, but it was a very happy event. Financially, you started speaking about it, One lady, she left $15,000 for the church. So we started that in a special charitable account especially for this purpose. And I'm glad to spend money on this ministry. This is one of the best that we are doing for the seniors in our parish. If I had more money, I would really increase it. That's my wish. But anyway, now tell me, Anne, starting from you, what do you think about the beneficiaries? I mean, can you speak about a few people you remember?
That are no longer with us, you mean?
Yes, they could be.
Yes, I know several of them. One I'm thinking of is Catherine Wynn, and she didn't live very far from me as I pass her house often. I miss her a lot. There are several people, and many that came every time that we're now missing. And if I were to see pictures of them as I go back sometimes and look, it really stirs up a lot of emotion to see them, I don't know what the percentage is, but from the beginning we have lost several people. And it's quite sad to think about.
How about people, those who are still coming? Do you remember special people or special events?
Let's see. Florence Dutka. Florence comes almost every time with her caregiver and totally enjoys herself. She has a ball. And it's so nice to see how excited the seniors get. They so look forward to coming. They'll say, oh, when's the next Martha Mary? When's the next Martha Mary? And, it's just, they just so enjoy themselves when they come to see their old friends. They make new friends, and they just love to sit and chat with each other, but just to see the smiles on their faces when they come in. And I've only been involved for 2 years. I started coming, I came to volunteer because I wanted to honor my friend Betty Johns, who is no longer with us. I worked with Betty at Essex Elementary School, and I wanted to do something to volunteer at church, and I thought, what a better place than to volunteer at Martha Mary in honor of Betty. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love coming. I look forward to it every month.
Yeah, thank you. And Pat, speaking about the entertainment or the very good inputs that we had,
Right.
do you remember anything that is very significant?
Well, what first comes to mind is us all sitting around and singing carols at Christmas with Irene playing the piano. But yeah, we had a wonderful speaker come to talk about security for seniors because of the scams that happen with seniors a lot. My favorite is always Judge Budney and his band, because that was always so cheerful and fun, and all the musicians were also seniors that he had practically, and Then we had a couple of, we had someone come from the Essex Historical Society and gave us a tour of Essex and where the old churches were and what the street was like. We had people who came and spoke in costume about a period in time in history. We had our lot of singing, a lot of music, because music was popular. One thing, we did a survey at one time and asked the seniors, we gave them a list of different kinds of events and entertainment, what would they like to have. And interestingly, they picked, one of them was picking watching movies, but then no one, when it happened, no one wanted the movie because they wanted to come and talk. They didn't want to come and just sit there and watch a movie and eat dinner. So, and we had to time the events so that they didn't overlap too much with the lunch because we had a certain amount of time to serve the lunch. So there was that little tricky, remember, Anne, where if you had a speaker who was too long, we had to kind of, you know, play music or something like they do on TV and say, finish it up, because they want to get to that table because the wheat market would have delivered the food and they're watching the food. They want to get in line. So, and I have to say, I know that a lot of the original committee has talked to me about, one of the things is that they're older like I am, and one of my reasons for wanting to hand it on, and thank God for Sue for coming along and volunteering, because she's the perfect person. She knows so many people in the church already, and she has that welcoming attitude like Anne. And so what we were hoping, the other members and I who wanted to sort of retire, was that she would bring the younger people in and keep the committee going with the same enthusiasm and energy, and then they have wonderful energy, because if through attrition, the seniors are getting younger who are going than us. Not you, Ann, I'm not talking about you, but Betty and Dolores and I, you know, we talk all the time. Even Walter says, you know, we want to step back and let some of the, you've got to get that overlap so that you can keep it going. Right. You keep the momentum going, and you're doing that, and I really appreciate that. So you're doing a great job. So yeah, I have great members, and Florence was right on the top of my mind, and she's still going strong.
Yep, great.
Yeah, she is. Florence Dutka. Yeah, who would always speak out while someone was speaking, and yeah. I think she had been a council member in town at one time. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, and incidentally, going back to why we started, I believe the town of Essex, when I first came to Essex, had a luncheon for seniors in the town hall, which they stopped when the senior center was built in Old Saybrook. Yeah, so it wasn't an original idea. I remembered that luncheon and I said, that's what we need to do. So.